So by definition, this 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz is a compact truck. In some literature, you'll find it is a mid-sized truck, but probably a compact truck. This is Hyundai's first ever truck, although they did a concept vehicle, I think it was in 2015 at one of the auto shows, and so they said, hey, this is an idea, would you like one? Fast forward 6-7 years later, and here we are with Hyundai's first ever pickup truck. Whether you like it or not, or don't believe that it's a truck or not, it is a pickup truck. It has a bed, even though it's only 4 feet long and 4 feet wide. I'll give you some more closer looks at that in a second. I've been driving this thing around quite a bit. When I actually went over to Montana and back, and I was getting a lot of looks. I was beginning to feel a little uncomfortable with how many heads were turning my way, and whether it was in a parking lot, getting gas, driving around town, a lot of people looking at me, and I'm getting a little self-conscious, but I understand this is very new. It's a different look. I actually like how it has the rounded wheel arches there as opposed to the Tucson, which is it's very similar to, and that's more of a square, hard edges, but this is more rounded, or it is rounded. And the front here with the LED headlights, this too is a little bit different. What they have here is 3 different rows of LED lights, whereas in the Tucson, it actually has 4. You'd have to do a comparison back and forth, but it's kind of cool how they have them stacked here and a little bit spread out. One of the things that sets this vehicle apart is the fact that it drives very much like a crossover. So I'm driving on the highway, I'm driving around town, and I forget. Why wouldn't you forget, right? It's Hyundai's first truck. I'm forgetting that I'm driving a pickup truck because of how low it is and how short it is compared to other pickup trucks. In fact, it is shorter and lower than much of its competition, like the Ridgeline, the Ford Maverick, if you want to put the Gladiator in that category, or Tacoma, and even the Ranger, which I think I would put in there. This is shorter and lower than its rivals, which means, are you going to take this off-road, or is it just a weekend warrior that gives you the opportunity to do some light off-roading because it's a pickup truck that has some of that more versatility with it? I don't know. It does have all-wheel drive. There's also a front-wheel drive option as well. 4 different trim levels. You're looking at SE, SEL. There's SEL Premium and Limited. We have the Limited, and this is all-wheel drive. There's also 2 different engines. I'll pop the hood and talk about that in a second. But so would you take this pickup truck off-road? Well, probably not compared to what the competition has to offer, because it is much lower, doesn't have that ground clearance that the other vehicles boast and brag about. Not necessarily what this thing is pushing or promoting. This is a crossover that drives very nicely, has good ride and handling, but it gives you that versatility or the options to haul a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Since the bed is what sets it apart and makes it special and different than anything else that Hyundai has ever created, let's talk about that. First of all, it's got a tailgate because it's a truck. It is a pickup truck, even though I want to argue against it because of how it rides and what it feels like inside. And then they have this little clever handle up top for the cover. You press forward, press it, and it goes forward on its own. So I brought a tape measure just for proof. Here we're looking at 48 inches wide. You go, baby, to the window here, and 48 inches long. So that's all it is. Yeah, my pickup truck, I got a Ford F-150, I got a small bed on it. It's only 6 feet, and I'm just barely able to get enough in there to take it to the dump, make it worthwhile to take it to the dump. This one right here, I'm not sure you'd take much to the dump for loading, but it's still versatile enough to take something back here. What's cool about this is, as opposed to a SUV or crossover that's something Hyundai might have to offer, is that sure, you have seating for 5 up front, but in an SUV or crossover in the sides, you wouldn't have the space to put, like, say, maybe a bicycle back there, or a lot more luggage, something that would maybe bulge out over the edges. This, hey, you got a cargo net like I do with the truck. You got a cargo net. If you want to stack things a little bit higher, great, do so, and then put your cargo net over it. Or if you have a bicycle that you want to have stand up in here, that can be an option as well. Maybe the kids want to bring their bicycles, boom, go ahead and fill it up to the rim and no problem. So this is what it looks like with a guy in the back. But here's something else, which makes this interesting. They've been really creative with making this useful. So you saw those 2 options there. You can lift this up, which probably looks familiar. Maybe a Ridgeline comes to mind. They've got hidden space underneath, but not just space that's hidden. this is useful. You can fill it up, let's say, with ice, or you can put some fish in there. I was thinking about that with fishing, because it has a drain cap here you can lift up and drain out the water or excess liquid that you would have. So it's durable, useful, and hidden away from the public eye. So yeah, you could put some stuff back here for safety purposes. And the cool stuff doesn't stop there. On either side, I'll just show you on this side because it's in the light, you've got these little compartments that you can utilize. There's also an outlet here. So that's pretty smart and useful, as well as LED lights, tie downs, good surface here that's not going to scratch too much or leave any real impressions inside the bed. So yeah, it's got some cool things to it that make it stand out. And there's one more to show you, and that's over here, this step. So right here within the bumper, it's a step. So if you want to get up and get inside the truck bed, you can do so. So making use of all the options available to them on the outside. So at this point, Hyundai is only offering 2 engines. There's no hybrid, there's no diesel, there's no plug-in hybrid, there's no fully electric. Seems like everyone's doing that. They have a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. They have a 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder. Now the base engine is the non-turbo, and that's going to get you 191 horsepower, 181 pound-feet of torque. Both are going to be mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Then you have mine, which is the turbo, so 281 horses, 311 pound-feet of torque. This is the engine of choice. If you're going to be getting this Santa Cruz, this is the one you want to get, because fuel economy isn't that much different across the base and the turbo version. You're looking at 21 in the city in front wheel drive and all wheel drive in the base, and up to 26, 27 on the highway. With this, it's only a few ticks lower. So 19 city, right around 25 or so on the highway. And my fuel economy to Montana and back was right there where Hyundai is projecting their estimated fuel economy. One more thing to point out with the engine, the turbo will get you 5,000 pounds of towing capacity, same as the Ridgeline, whereas the non-turbo is 3,500 pounds. So now you can start thinking about how versatile this really is and what you could tow behind it on some of your longer road trips. Here's a real world look at the backseat legroom and headroom of the Santa Cruz from a guy who is 5'11". This is my position as a driver up front. This is where the word compact comes into play, because I don't have a ton of room. I've got just enough for my size, but taller people are gonna have a bit of a problem with their legroom here. And this does seat 5, that's what they say, 2 up front, 3 in the back. But I don't know, you're gonna be shoulder to shoulder, and it's probably gonna be for medium-sized adults, people like me, or smaller, or some kids, to make it somewhat comfortable. Otherwise, yeah, you might wanna upgrade to a Tucson if you wanna stay within the Hyundai family. But I can see why this is still a comfortable option for someone who wants to add a bed to their vehicle. It does have great technology. You've got 2 USB ports back here, in addition to the ones up front. So technology is in both sections. I know I have the top trim level, so I've got a little more bells and whistles to it, but I don't miss out on what you might miss out on with a traditional pickup truck. And much like a crossover, this has fantastic headroom, even for a compact truck. I keep on thinking this is not really a truck because it feels like more of a crossover, but look at the indent in the roof line. Plenty of room. They give lots of room for headroom. So let's say you have short legs but a longer torso, it's gonna be fine back here for headroom. So they've done a really good job on making this comfortable for taller people as long as your legs are shorter. Does that make sense? And here again is Hyundai being creative and probably on par with what other pickup trucks are doing. They've made some space below the seats. So you have a tab here, pull this, and there's a spot right here that you can store some extra stuff. The same applies on the opposite side. So they're making use of the space above and below the seats. And on this side of this compartment, they have your jack kit. So this is where you'll find that, whereas in a traditional crossover, you find it underneath the floorboard of the cargo area. All right, technology-wise inside, a lot of the similar features you'd find on every other updated Hyundai vehicle, except they have a fully digital instrument cluster in this, and it's really flush against the dashboard here. Sometimes you have a hood that covers it. This is flat and looks nice. Looks a little more streamlined to me. And there are 2 options for your infotainment screen. There's an 8-inch or a 10.3-inch, and we've got the larger one here. This is gorgeous. It's easy to work. One thing is missing, there are no knobs or buttons. It's all touchscreen, regardless of what you want to do, whether it's audio, changing channels, or even climate controls. It's all by touch. And it's a big, beautiful screen, so I'm okay with that. Although when I was trying to change it to channel or turn the volume up, when I was driving, I just used the steering wheel mounted controls, which are as usual, and it has all the other updated safety features as well. A couple of things I really took advantage of on my long drive over to Montana was the lane keeping assist, the lane departure warning, and the radar cruise control. It was fantastic to drive that way, and everything is, you know, right there on the digital instrument cluster, which, just like every other updated Hyundai, you turn the signal down left, and a camera pops up in the left part of the screen, which is where you see your miles per hour. The right-hand side, where you see your RPMs, they have a camera that's mounted below the right mirror so you can see your blind spot. Because that's one thing I noticed when I first got this, when driving around, is that I turned to my right, and because of how this is configured as a pickup truck now, you can't quite see as easily as you would in maybe an SUV or a crossover over your right shoulder. There's a good blind spot there, and having this as an option to see what's over there is super helpful. So that's nice, and it makes up for any deficiencies in visibility over your right shoulder. This also has a sliding moonroof just for the front passengers, not the back passengers. So maybe over time they'll add that to it. Otherwise, this is such an easy car to drive. It handled well, and I think some of that can be attributed to the fact that it's lower on the ground. It's also shorter, so there's more control. So I'm going around some of those windy curves through the pass from Washington, Idaho into Montana, and it handled very well. And getting up to speed was okay, probably because I had the turbo versus the weaker base engine, the non-turbo. But driving was, you know, again, I forget that I'm in a pickup truck because nothing about this to me says pickup truck unless you look at it from the outside. Let's wrap this up with a little MSRP. And I've got an issue here. I've been looking into this a little bit, trying to figure this one out. So the MSRP, as stated, is right around $24,000, give or take $5. But a non-negotiable destination charge, the destination fee, that is what the manufacturer charges to deliver this vehicle to the dealership. That is something you have to pay no matter what. So the only way you can really negotiate is on the MSRP of the vehicle. So to get this at the base trim level, you're looking at, was it $25,500. Otherwise, the MSRP is $24,000, but you have to pay an extra $1,200 for destination. Interesting, right? No matter what, you're stuck with that destination fee unless you can negotiate on the MSRP. But the range is between $24,000 and $40,000, right around there, just under $40,000 plus that extra destination fee. I think for the first-time truck buyer or someone who's looking for more versatility in a crossover, just add the bed to it, even though it's a 4x4 bed. This is a smart buy because you don't notice that you're in a truck, but you do get some of the benefits of having a truck bed. Plus, it's easy to maneuver, it's easy to get around parking lots. It's going to be a whole lot easier to get into your garage as opposed to having an F-150 or maybe something a little bit smaller than an F-150. This you can place and park just about anywhere, and you shouldn't have any problems with it. You will get a lot of looks, at least initially, because someone's going to see the front end of this and go, what SUV is that? Or what crossover is that? And they'll see the back going, well, that looks different. I kind of like that. I think Hyundai has done a good job, even though a lot of people won't call it a pickup truck. But they said the same thing about the Ridgeline, and that thing continues to win awards and does so well. And this has all-wheel drive. So, you know, people are doing off-road testing in this thing. I'm not going to do it, not this time around, but it is off-road worthy to a point. Anyhow, that's my full take on it after a week. I've really enjoyed driving it. I would drive it for another week, no problem, but I have to return it. Until next time, I'm Dave Erickson. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you back here next time. Please subscribe. I'm trying to upload as many videos as possible to give you as much content and options as possible during your research process. See you next time. Adios. One final note, if you are in the market for a new vehicle soon, great. Connect with your local dealership and price and test drive at least 3 different vehicles. A vehicle's strengths and weaknesses can only be discovered when you are behind the wheel. My reviews can be good, but you need to test drive these yourself. Visit quotes.everymandriver.com, select the make, model, and your zip code, and you'll get invoice pricing in your area on those vehicles. Shop smarter with price quotes at quotes.everymandriver.com.
Thanks for watching. Please click subscribe and give us a thumbs up. See you next time.